mountain. That's why we put crazy stuff on the mountain. It's why we've got vibrant colors back there. It's why we'd love to have it even more vibrant. It's why when you walk into the red room, there's these crazy lights, and because we want people to walk back to that part of the church and go, something cool is happening back here, and I want to be a part of it. And we want that to grab kids, and we want it to grab their parents. So that is the visual element of it. The way it sounds is, y'all know I'm a Disney fanatic, right? It's no secret. One of the things I love about Disney World is everywhere you're walking, there's music. And like at the Magic Kingdom, you're in Frontierland, and it's like the Old West. So you've got all this, Old West music or, sort of country feel. And then when you walk into Liberty Square, it's like colonial America. So all of a sudden you're getting Yankee Doodle on a fife. And they do such a great job of transitioning that music that you don't even realize that you've changed places until you go, oh wait, the music changed. Music and sounds are so vital to creating an environment. And that's why we try to have music in all the rooms. It's why this summer you've noticed, right now there's rock and roll music blaring out of the mountain because we're doing the worship series with the rock band. And we want to help create that environment, that excitement, and that mood with music and with things that kids and parents can hear. And then smell is the last, right? The people in the twos and rooms are like, yeah, smell. It's hard, right? It is hard. Somehow those walls back there really seem to absorb poop smell really well. But we want to, and it's easy to get used to it, right? Because we're back there all the time and we don't notice until we come and get coffee, and then we get hit with the wave of awesomeness. But smell is important. We want it to smell clean and fresh, and there's some things that we're trying to do to make that better. But it's why it's why Rebecca comes in on Friday or Saturday to clean back there, so that the last thing that happened before all those kids descend upon us on Sunday is we've got it clean and fresh and ready to go. So those three elements are really important to setting the mood and tone and creating that environment, which then makes what you teachers do easier to do. Do you have a question, ma'am?
I just wanted to kind of piggyback on what you were saying about the decorations and the colors and the lights, and I'm taking this straight out of the mouths of my children. We, especially because kids just went back to school, kind of the last thing that take this lightly, but rather than Sunday being an extension of school, it's something completely different. The last things they want to do is go to school another day of the week. They don't want that. But like you say, the Disney and the music, and you don't even realize that you've walked into a whole other world. That's cool. That's amazing to them. And creating that environment we already have the environment, but I think what you're talking about is just adding an extension to that. And that's incredible, because I hear it from my kids. I don't want to go. I'm like, too bad, this is what we do. We go to church on Sundays, period. But refreshing that and adding to it, unbelievable.
Yeah, and the thing is, it is really cool to see it, and I think we can be proud of how it looks, but we want to remember that we do that not so that people will think that Connection Church is the coolest thing ever, but so that kids are drawn in,
right.
And then they're like, okay, well, what's next? Because when they're ready for what's next, then we get to present to them the best news in history.
Right.
And so everything that we do back there really mirrors what happens up here. That's why we do donuts. That's why we that's why we do church the way we do church, because we want to create that environment where people are ready for more. And that's when we get into the meat and potatoes of the lesson. Mm-hmm. So how do we work toward that vision? Well, the team, you guys, Konnection Kidz, is the linchpin to making this happen. And then having a team that is all in, that is sold out to do whatever it takes to connect kids with Jesus is the key. And that's why it doesn't matter if we have a mountain and lights and great music, or if we've got concrete and fans and carpet. Because the thing that has made Konnection Kidz awesome for the entire time I think the Connection Church has been here is because of what I'm looking at right now, which is a team that is all in and sold out to connecting kids to Jesus. That is the linchpin. So, I would ask you, there's some questions here. How do you look at your role in Konnection Kidz? Do you think of yourself as a babysitter, as a child care worker, as a volunteer? Or do you think of yourself as a servant, as a team member, as a children's minister? Because you guys, we say this all the time, we don't do child care. And we're even trying to move away from the language of you guys being volunteers. Because really, we're all called to ministry. And every single one of us plays a part in being children's ministers and drawing kids to Jesus. And that is what being all in is about. And changing that thought pattern, what that does is it changes our behavior pattern. Because all of a sudden, instead of, man, I'm tired, they're fine without me, I'm just a volunteer, becomes, I don't want to miss my kids today. They need me. I play an important part in eternity, and there may be a kid that's only there today, and I don't want to miss that opportunity to connect that kid with Jesus. And when we begin to think, it's much more exciting to think about the eternal impact that we're having than it is to go, well, I'm going to go deal with a bunch of screaming kids for an hour again. I remember I was talking to a mom one time. She was a volunteer here, and the dad didn't like to go to church. And she had 4 kids, I think. And so every Sunday, this is what the dad would say to the kids. He would say, hey, do you want to go sit around with mom for a couple hours? Or you want to stay home with me and we'll watch MMA on TV? Well, what do you think those kids did? No, they stayed with their dad. They stayed with their dad every week. They stayed with their dad every week because he portrayed what happens at church and in Konnection Kidz as a drag. Yep. And we have the opportunity to change that mindset because one day these kids, they're going to be those dads. And we want them to be pouring something different into their kids. And to me, that's exciting. That makes me want to go run through a wall right now. Not really, that would hurt. But the last thing about this, we'll go into this a little bit more because there's some stuff in here about what we do when we're here, making sure that we're engaged with our kids. It's really easy to get engaged with each other and miss opportunities, especially during downtimes, and we'll talk about that more. But I want us to remember that as leaders, we can't lead kids where we're not willing to go. And if we're coming into a room with the idea of, I just got to get through this hour, Like I'm taking next weekend off, and I'm so excited because I'm really tired. But if I go in tomorrow, and when I teach at 10:30, I go, I just got to get through this one more hour, and then I get a weekend off. What opportunity do I miss if I'm just thinking about getting through that hour? So we really want to go into it with, who do I get an opportunity to connect with Jesus today? If we're not willing to go to that place, those kids are not going to get to that place. So every Sunday is an opportunity for us. Last of all, and again, we'll talk about this more in our breakout, is preparation matters. And I know that we're all busy. I know that life's moving fast. First week of school, you guys are amazing for being here today. But we got to make sure that we are bringing our A game every single time we're here, because kids know, and again, we can't lead them where we're not willing to go. So I just want to encourage you, make sure you're reading your lesson material. Make sure that when you get in there, you're ready to go, because you don't want to miss out on what we're doing back there. You don't want to miss out on connecting a child with Jesus because you're not quite sure of where the lesson's going. And even, check-in team, I would encourage you, read through at least the main point material, because if a parent comes up and, hey, what are we talking about today? Well, we're talking today about the fact that when I obey God, I worship Him. It sounds a lot better than, So it's worth it to take that extra time to know what's happening on Sundays, because all of a sudden that parent that's not sure what goes on back here because they don't let me back there, right? They make me stop right here, but I see every face telling me what's going to happen today, and they look like they're excited about what's going to happen today. So I feel pretty good about what my kid's going to do for the next hour. And I can leave my child here knowing that he or she is in good hands.
On that note,
Yes,
before I was serving, that's exactly how I felt. Like, I didn't know who Nolan's teacher was. I saw Stephanie. Stephanie was my connection, was who I handed Nolan to, and that was the last face that I saw him go with, you know. And so if that wasn't a warm, welcoming face, then, you know, I mean, that's all you know.
Yeah.
As a parent who's not serving, you know. So that's an excellent point, because you're not allowed back there, and you
Yeah.
don't know. And so if you're the only barrier between a parent and where the child goes, to at least know what's going on, or be able to answer questions, or explain something a little further for the parent to make them feel a little more comfortable to hand their child over.
Yeah, and I don't love the way we're set up back there. It's just we're sort of hamstrung by the configuration of those rooms. A lot of churches, they'll have the check-in right outside of the room, but they've got it's still a secure check-in. We don't, I mean, if we did that, think of how much smaller that hallway would be. So we're a little bit hamstrung, because if I'm a first-time guest, you know, what do you mean I can't meet my child's teacher? And so again, that makes you guys a check-in, it makes it very important the way that you message that, right? We're not trying to keep you from your kids, we want to keep your kids safe, right? Everybody back here is background check. And that's why, especially first-time guests, we'll offer them a tour. Well, let me take you back there. You know, the key, of course, is let me take you. You know, not go look. But yeah, we're a little bit hamstrung by the way we're configured. So we want to make sure that the parents don't feel this, but that they feel very comfortable with what's happening back there. So we're going to take about a 6 or 7 minute break, give you a chance to go to the restroom, and we're going to do our breakouts. So if you're a gatekeeper or an usher in Konnection Kidz, or an usher in the worship center, you're going to stay in here with Richard. Elementary and Club 56 team will be back in the red room, and then preschool team, I think you're going to go back to the Konnection Kidz area also with Sandy and Rebecca.
We'll go to the front through the counters, and then we'll break out into some rooms.
Yes, ma'am.
What about if there is a change of hands, like a 4-year-old teacher will volunteer, decides to stop serving, and someone new steps in? Do parents have an opportunity to meet the new 4-year-old teacher?
Well, I mean, yes and no. I'll let you handle that.
Well, we're something that we're going to talk today about in preschool. We're going to start sending out some parent take-homes that are different from what they would normally get on a Sunday, and I want the teachers to start putting who they are, so that when that paper goes home, they have a connection with, oh, well, Rebecca was my teacher, or Tamara was my teacher for the 9, or Denise was my teacher for the 10:30, so that they know who to contact. Because they'll always have our phone number, and they'll always have our email on those back of those take-homes, and this is just something else that they can voice and make that extra contact with.
Right.
But if they ever want to meet, that's something that they'll have that opportunity, but that's something that we'll talk about today
Okay.
as well.
Cool.
Any other questions or comments before we break? All right. If you want to go to the restroom, grab a few more tacos, whatever you want to do, and then we'll meet